Oh, I didn't know I pressed record. Well, I'm just gonna start then. Hey guys, it's Isaiah, and I'm gonna be doing our devotional today. Our devotional is basically just gonna be about like the smaller actions that we can take, which will have a bigger impact or hold a bigger promise later in life. Before we started, I want to give a couple examples of these smaller actions that we can take. They can be pretty simple stuff like volunteering at a soup kitchen. That's helping the less fortunate and providing food for them, which is impacting their lives as well as yours. And by volunteering, you can also encourage your friends to want to volunteer, which will also impact their lives. But there's also other examples like these devotionals that we're doing. They're like small little things that we're doing in order to understand and build a better connection and relationship with God. There's another example like since we're in quarantine, if you don't know, you could try to learn how to cook. That's like a life skill that it's pretty necessary later in life, so you could try to do that. Or maybe like once again, since we're in quarantine, like we have plenty of free time, you might as well like start reading the Bible more and praying to God, which is also going to build a better connection and relationship with Him. Um, Anyways, I'm just gonna read the parable that I was given. It's the parable of the three servants. So if you've been going to church for a little while, then you've most likely heard it. It's in Matthew 25, verses 14 to 28. Again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. Then he left on his trip. The servant who had received 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who had received 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master returned from his trip, and he called them to give an account of how they used his money. The servant to whom he had entrusted the 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, "Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more." The master was full of praise. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." The servant who had received the 2 bags of silver came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 2 more." The master said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." Then the servant with 1 bag of silver came and said, "Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here is your money back." But the master replied, "You wicked and lazy servant. If you knew I harvested crops I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it." Then he ordered, "Take the money from this servant and give it to the one with 10 bags of silver." One of the points of that parable is kind of just like emphasizing the smaller tasks that the other 2 servants had done. They were working and investing the money, and they had earned double the amount that they were given, which later then, when their master returned, had given them praise. Whereas the 3rd servant, who didn't want to take the risk or take action, had just hid it until his master returned and was not praised upon. And the topic of today, and like how the smaller actions that we take and having a bigger impact kind of like ties into my personal experience. Because like last October, I was weighing about 160 pounds or almost. And because of that, I wanted to lose weight because I'm in wrestling, and in order to participate in the sport, I gotta be a certain weight. So I told my dad that I wanted to lose weight, and so we ended up going to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. And I'd be getting at least 2 to 3 workouts a day. And by Christmas, I was weighing about 120 pounds. So within 2 months, I had lost a little over 35 pounds because that was my commitment. I wanted to lose weight and help my team win. So that was just the smaller actions that I took. Putting more time outside of the gym, and putting more effort in practice. And because I did that, I ended up winning 10 times more than I did last season. And my coaches were impressed by like my performance that season. And that's basically it. But before I end this devotional, I wanted to ask you guys a question and challenge you guys. I was wondering, do you have a big goal in your life? And if so, I wanted to challenge you guys to like think about the smaller actions that you can take in order to achieve those goals. Thanks for listening, guys.